Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimakung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 6, Section 5 of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
As.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Author Conan Doyle. Chapter 6, Section 5. We get from here to Turing course. And where is it? I asked, smiling. In the bathroom, he answered. Oh. Yes. He continued, seeing my look of incredulity. I have just been there. And I have taken it out. Come on. My boy. As possible. And out into the bright morning sunshine. Our horse in sharp. With the half-clad stable boy waiting at the head. Both sprang in. And away we dashed down the London road. Country guts were stirring, bringing vegetables to the metropolis. Time. It has been in some points a singular case, said Holmes. Horse on into a gallop. A mole. Their windows as we drove through the streets of the Surrey side. The Waterloo Bridge road we crossed over the river. Wheeled sharply to the right and found ourselves in Bow Street. Well known to the force, and the two constables at the door saluted him. One of them held the horse's head while the other led us in. Is on duty? Asked Holmes. Inspector Bradstreet. All. Bradstreet. At all. Stout official had come down the stone flight passage. Cap and frog jacket. I wish to have a quiet word with you. Certainly. Wiste. Poems. It was a small, office-like room. A huge ledger upon the table. And a telephone projecting from the wall. The inspector sat down at his desk. What can I do for you? Wiste. I called about that begorman. In the disappearance of Mr. Neville Street. Claire. S. Hard. Oh. He gives no trouble. Yes. Hang due to make him wash his hands. As the thing goes. Well, when once his case has been settled, we'll have a regular prison bath. And I think, if you saw him, would you? That is easily done. Come this way. Well, very good. Come this way. Passage. Opened a bar door. Passed down a winding stair. A still whitewashed corridor with a line of doors on each side. On the right is his, said the inspector. Back a panel in the upper part of the door and the through. Asleep, said he. We both put our eyes to the grating. Lay with his face towards us. In a very deep sleep. And heavily. He was a middle-sized man. Coarsely clad as became his calling. With a coloured shirt protruding through the rent in his tattered coat. What? As the inspector had said. Extremely dirty. Covered his face could not conceal its repulsive ugliness. cold scar ran right across it from eye to chin. Had turned up one side of the upper lip, exposed in a perpetual snarl, over his eyes and forehead. "He's a beauty, isn't he?" said the inspector. "Certainly needs a wash," remarked Holmes. "I had an idea that he might," by as he spoke, and took out, to my astonishment, large bat sponge. Hey, you are a funny one," chuckled the inspector. "Anne, if you will have the great goodness to open that door very quietly." "Well, I don't know why not," said the inspector. "Credit to the Bow Street cells. Ugh. I will go very quietly into the cell." The sleeper half turned, and then settled down once more into a deep slumber. The water juggle moistened his sponge down the prisoner's face. "Let me introduce you," he shouted, "to Mr. Claire Ovley. A sight, a tree." Gone was the course important. Bun. Do. The horrid scar which had seemed to across, given a repulsive snare to the face. And there, sitting up in his bed, was a pale, set-faced, refined-looking man, black-haired and smooth-skinned, him with sleepy bewilderment. Then suddenly realising the exposure, screaming, threw himself down with his face to the pillow. "Inspector, it is, indeed, the missing man. The reckless air of a man who abandons himself to his destiny," said he, "with making away with Mr. Neville Street. Well, come. Suicide of it," said the inspector with a grin. "Well, 27 years in the force. If I am Mr. Neville Street, Claire, then it is obvious that no crime has been committed, and that, therefore, no crime, but a very great error has been committed," said Holmes. "It was not the wife. It was the children," groaned the prisoner. "God help me. I would not have them ashamed of their father. God, what an exposure." I patted him kindly on the shoulder. "Ought to clear the matter out," said he. "Publicity, on the other hand, is no possible case against you. Reasons that the details should find their way into the papers. Inspector Bradstreet would, I am sure, submit it to the proper authorities." "God bless you," cried the prisoner passionately. "I would have endured imprisonment, even execution. My miserable secret as a family blot to my children. Have ever heard my story? My father was a schoolmaster in Chesterfield. I received an excellent education. I travelled in my youth, stage, and finally became a reporter on an evening paper in London. Then my editor wished to have a series of articles upon bigging in the metropolis, and I volunteered to supply them. My adventures started. get the facts upon which to base my articles. Had, of course, learned all the secrets of making up. Been famous in the green room for my skull. Entertainments. I painted my face by the aid of a small slip of flush-cliv plaster, head of hair, and an appropriate dress. Business part of the city. Ostensibly as a match seller, but really as a bigger. For 7 hours I plied my trade. The evening I found to my surprise that I had received no less than October 22nd, 2023. I wrote my articles and thought little more of the matter until some time later searched upon me for 25. Get the money. But a sudden idea came to me. Fortnight's grace from the creditor. Asked for a holiday from my employers. Spent the time in begging in the city under my disguise. I had the money and had paid debt. Well, with a little paint. Laying my cup on the ground. And sitting still. It was a long fight between my pride and the money. Dollars won at last. In the corner which I had first chosen. And filling my pockets with coppers. Only women knew my secret. Then, evenings transformed myself into a well-dressed man about town. This fellow, a Lascar, was well paid by me for his rooms. My secret was safe in his possession. Well, was saving considerable sums of money. Taking spot I had exceptional advantages in my power of making up. A facility of repartee. Character in the city. All day a stream of pennies. Ferried by silver. Poured in upon me. I failed to take to. As I grew richer, I grew more ambitious. Took a house in the country. And eventually married. Suspicion as to my real occupation. In the city. She little knew what of my window and saw, to my horror and astonishment, was standing in the street, with her eyes fixed full upon me, gave a cry of surprise, threw out my arms to cover my face, and rushed into my confidant, the Lascar. Phone coming up to me. I heard her voice downstairs. That she could not send. Swiftly I threw off my clothes, those of a beggar, and put on my pigments and wig. Wife's eyes could not pierce so complete a disguise. Me that there might be a search in the room, might betray me. I threw open the window. Small cut which I had inflicted upon myself in the bedroom that morning. I seized my coat, transferred to it from the leather bag in which I carried my takings, hauled it out of the window, and it disappeared into the Thames. Other clothes would have followed. Constables up the stair, and a few minutes after I found Aloud. I confess, to my relief, that instead of being identified as Mr. Neville Street, Claire, I was arrested as his murderer. That there is anything else for me to explain. My disguise is on as possible, and hence my preference for a dirty face. Knowing that my wife would be terribly anxious, and confided it to the Lascar at a moment when no constable was watching me. together with a hurried scrawl. That note only reached her yesterday, said Holmes. Good God. The police have watched this Lascar, said Inspector Bradstreet. Can quite understand that he might find it difficult to post a letter unobserved. Probably he handed it to some sailor customer of his. Holmes, nodding approvingly. I have no doubt of it. Many times. It must stop here. However, said Bradstreet, this is apt. Further steps may be taken. But if you are found again, must come out. I am sure. Wiste. Holmes. Very much indebted to you for having cleared the matter up. One said my friend. Two. I think. Watson. To be continued.